What's up? I'm Yannick and I help skinny guys working a 9 to 5 build muscle and confidence without it taking over their entire life. Now, when I first started, I was following every program I could find. I trained almost every day, obsessed over my macros, and I still looked average. But once I figured out the right system, I transformed my physique, built confidence, as well as a body I'm genuinely proud of. So if you've been going to the gym, trying to eat right, but you're still looking the same year after year, and you just want one simple, proven system that works around your 9 to 5, this video is going to change that. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to add 10 kgs of muscle over the next 6 to 12 months as a skinny guy working a 9 to 5, using the 1 to 4 method, my signature training method. And you can do all this without needing to train daily, without needing to gain excess fat or dirty bulk, and without needing crazy genetics. You see, I'm nothing special. I never had crazy genetics, and I managed to get to around 92 kgs lean. I strongly believe everyone can do this, so let's get into it. Before we get into the method, I want to quickly touch base on who this is for. If you're skinny, working a 9 to 5, and you're tired of looking the same every year despite training a lot, if you're done being overlooked and want to build a confident physique that commands respect, if you are confused by all the conflicting advice out there and you just want one simple proven system that works around your job, if you're tired of falling off plan and starting over with a new perfect plan all the time, and if you're willing to show up consistently 3 to 4 hours a week, and if you want to add 10 kgs to your frame over the next 6 to 12 months, this is exactly for you. You're at the right address. And if you think getting jacked means spending 2 hours in the gym every day after a long shift and you're not willing to consider a smarter approach, if you're a skinny guy who wants to keep blaming his metabolism or his genetics and who isn't ready to accept responsibility, if you can't commit to being consistent 3 to 4 times a week outside of your 9 to 5, and if you expect quick fixes and instant results in as little as 30 days without putting in the work, then you're at the wrong address. You may as well click off the video right away. I don't want to waste your time. You probably have already tried different things. You've probably been to the gym, know your way around, but you actually haven't followed a real program. Or maybe you have, but it was written by ChatGPT, or you haven't been sticking to it for long enough. You probably also tried to eat more, bulk up, maybe even focus on liquid calories, but you fell off because you lack consistency. You try to follow training advice you've seen online, but it's contradictory and confuses you. See, I used to be that guy. I tried different fancy exercise variations that I saw on Instagram, but it didn't do much for me. You probably also tried to bulk up, but gained excess fat and didn't like the way you looked. And you went back into a cut because you didn't feel comfortable in your own skin. This is the typical cut and bulk cycle that I see with a lot of guys. Now, the reason you're still skinny is because you've been following advice that was never designed for you. See, the programs you find online are built for guys that have 2 hours every day to spare and no job, nothing else going on. And the chances that they're on enhancements such as steroids or peptides is pretty high, so they can train a lot more and recover from a lot more volume. And that's why it works for them, but not for you who's stressed, who works a 9 to 5, who works 40 hours a week. So if you're working a full shift and you're tired by the time you get to the gym, and you're trying to follow a plan that demands you to show up 6 times a week, you're not lacking discipline, you're literally just asking too much from yourself. Most skinny guys also think they eat a lot, but they're not actually eating nearly enough. This is the number one thing I see with every skinny guy I work with. They think they eat enough, but once we assess the actual amount they're consuming, they almost always miss their calorie target. And you can train as hard as you want. If you don't eat accordingly, you're not going to grow. Number 3, and this is also a big one, you never stuck to one approach long enough. A common thing I see with guys is that they're switching between cutting and bulking way too often, gaining excess fat, not liking themselves in the mirror, and then switching back to a cut where they also probably lose a bit of muscle they've built. So they're spinning their wheels because of this. You really need to stick to one approach for long enough. Otherwise, you're going to end back at where you started. The truth is, as a skinny guy with the right approach, you don't have to decide on one. You can do both. You can build muscle without gaining excess fat. And I'm going to show you exactly how. Before we get into that though, I want to show you why my system is different. As you will see, I have an identity first approach. You see, without changing my identity first, I would not have gotten into this shape, especially since I used to live a lifestyle that really wouldn't favor this. But I'm going to get into that in a sec. Now, the 1-2-4 method is also specifically for guys that work a 9 to 5, meaning it works with minimum effective time investment. Lastly, we're not switching between cut and bulk cycles and spinning our wheels. We're focusing on one approach for at least 6 months so you maximize muscle growth. And before I get into the method, I quickly want to touch base on my story. When I first started out my fitness journey, I used to be skinny. I thought I was eating enough. I trained consistently and followed what I saw online, but I didn't really see great results. As you see, I also didn't have great genetics. And as I just mentioned, I was living a life full of vices, alcohol on weekends, drugs, junk food. And I thought I could get away with this lifestyle because I just thought my training would compensate for this lifestyle. At the end of the day, I did manage to get into a decent physique and build some muscle, but it took me very long and it took me a lot of cut and bulk cycles. When I was working my first 9 to 5, you see in this picture, I managed to build some muscle, but I would usually fall out of shape again because I burn out or get injured. Fitness really controlled my entire life. And I was also stuck in binge and restrict cycles, going from this cutting and bulking. I would eat out of emotion. So this was unhealthy, but I finally managed to build my dream physique, get absolutely jacked by following a sustainable system that fits my life, completely changed who I am. And I'm now confident, enjoying my life, and fitness is complementing my life rather than controlling it. My system also worked for a bunch of other guys. I transformed these guys here, but I quickly want to highlight 2 guys specifically that went from skinny to straight up jacked. So my guy Lenny added around 8 kgs in 9 months. And you can see he's also even leaner than he was before. Same goes for Consti. He's still with me right now. He added 5 kgs in the first 3 months of working with me, and you can see he went from skinny to pretty damn jacked. These guys used to skip their meals before. They didn't really have structure in their training before they came to work with me. And what we did was implement the system I'm about to show you and hold them accountable, change who they were and how they lived their life, and the results just speak for themselves. You can also check out my previous YouTube videos. In one of them, I interview Lenny on his journey and his experience working with me as a coach. Let's get into the method. Your dream physique consists of 3 pillars. We have the 2.0U, we have the 1-2-4 method, and we have the Jack diet. The truth is, you are never going to outperform your self-image. This means who you believe yourself to be. Because if deep down you still identify yourself as a skinny guy who can't stay consistent or who has bad genetics, your brain will always find reasons to prove that story to yourself. So your self-image is the ceiling for your results, essentially. So when you skip meals or you miss your workouts, you're not lazy, you essentially have a mismatch between your identity and your actions. Before we touch training or nutrition, we really need to dial in who you are going to become along this journey, right? You want to create a crystal clear picture of your 2.0 self in present tense. You're going to write down how you look, how you feel, how you carry yourself and your habits, your morning routine, how you wake up, how you go to bed. You want to be super specific and really remind yourself of that every morning and evening. This is when your brain is most receptive. So you really want to meditate and visualize that version of you up until you really breathe and embody that version. This book called Psycho-Cybernetics is something I really recommend to everyone. It's changed my life and it's going to change yours. Reading this, you're going to understand that once you really focus on becoming that version of you instead of focusing on the actions rather than your identity, you're going to understand that consistency becomes automatic and you won't need willpower, because willpower is limited. Like, we can only be disciplined to a certain extent. And if life comes at us, it's difficult, right? So we need to understand who we need to become in order to get to our goals. Next up, we have the 1-2-4 method. The 1-2-4 method essentially is built based on a upper-lower or push-pull leg split. It doesn't really matter. It's just personal preference which one you prefer. Some people may argue that upper lower is better because you hit every muscle twice per week, which can make sense, but I've also made significant progress on the push-pull leg split, so it really doesn't matter. The key is here that we only need to hit 3 to 4 sessions per week, that we can stick to this long term while working our 9 to 5, because the truth is more volume doesn't equal more muscle. It means more fatigue and higher risk of injury. What actually drives growth is progressive overload and intensity, so we really want to make sure we train always close to failure. The 1 to 4 method basically equals up to 7 total weekly sets per muscle across 2 to 3 movements. Now, the first movement is going to be your main compound, where you hit one set of 3 to 5 reps to really build that strength. And then you back down for 2 more sets of 6 to 10 reps, meaning you go a bit lighter, where you really focus on hypertrophy. Then you have 4 more sets of 8 to 15 reps, where you really also focus on the mind-muscle connection. You split those up across 1 to 2 movements. They can be another compound or an isolation or both. So this is where you really, burn out the muscle. And the main thing about this method is that you really get the most out of your training. So you really want to make sure that you train hard, provide a stimulus first, but then also make sure you progressively overload. So we don't blindly want to chase numbers. We really also want to make sure that we have a lot of time under tension, because if your muscle is under tension, then it's going to grow. And you always want to make sure you get better than last time, whether that's with your strength, your technique, your intensity, your focus. You just want to get the most out of your sessions. That also means staying present without doom scrolling between sets. And if you want a full sample plan, DM me 124 on IG. You can find my IG profile in the description. So hit me up there and I'll send you a full sample plan. I also dropped a YouTube video before where I run you through a push-pull leg split of this method, so you can check this out. Next up, we have the Jack diet, which is essentially a micronutrients first approach. This is a lot more important than your macros, because we want to fuel our hormones, our system, with micronutrient dense foods. We focus on 90% nutrient dense whole foods and 10% whatever you want, so you can actually enjoy life along the way or have some leeway when you're eating out. You want to focus on quality meat, eggs, potatoes, rice, fruit, natural fats. We don't cut out entire food groups. We don't have guilt if we treat ourselves. The whole point of this is to track at the beginning to get an understanding of caloric density and what your body needs, and getting to know your body and how it changes when you consume a certain amount of food. And then long term, you're going to get this sense of intuition on how much your body needs. And as mentioned before, the number one mistake guys make is to chronically undereat without knowing it. So it's important that we get an idea of this in the beginning straight away. Now, eating the right amount of foods is going to be the difference between building muscle and spinning your wheels. So the goal is to have a slight surplus, enough to build muscle without gaining excess fat. And the main thing is to hit your intake consistently every day without needing to be perfect all the time, just being ballpark correct. That will do the job for most people. And the best diet is the one you can stick to for 6+ months. So if you can't see yourself doing this for 6 months, you should not bother. You're going to waste your time, you're going to fall off, and you won't see results. Now, if you want the exact list of foods that I give to all my clients, including sample meals and the list of foods that is optimal to consume day to day and the foods you should avoid, DM me guide on Instagram for my full nutrition guide. I'll send you the entire thing that I give to my clients. So feel free. Now, if you made it this far, you already know that what you're doing isn't working. And now you also know why. The 3 pillars I just showed you are exactly what I take every client through in my one-on-one coaching. So you're going to get this exact system built around you, your training experience, your life, your schedule. So it's a complete one-on-one system to get you to your goal. Plus, I'm in your corner every week, so you're never left guessing and you're held accountable at all times. As you saw with the guys that I transformed before, when you put all of these 3 together, the results come fast and they stick. So if you're a skinny guy that's working a 9 to 5 and you're finally ready to make this happen, Hit the link below in the description. You can book a call via my Calendly, and I'll see if you're a fit for my one-on-one online coaching.